All right, you guys. Well, thank you all for getting on this call today. I'm going to go over some more do's and don'ts for Facebook. We had a call about this part one last week and went over some things that you can kind of expect your first year, and also a bunch of things on how to share what you're doing on Facebook without coming across really salesy. We talked about putting your own stamp on things. We talked about how to share Shakeology in particular, because you don't want to just be posting your website or posting a photo of your bag of Shakeology. So we gave you some pointers on that and talked about your approach in creating a content plan and what that entails. So if you missed the call last week, I do highly recommend that you go back and check that out, and I do think that that would be very beneficial for you. But I had a lot of other slides that we didn't get to, and these are kind of more listed out, dividing it literally do not do this and do this on Facebook. And so I'm just going to jump right in, and hopefully this call will be pretty short and sweet is always best, right? So, a few things. Facebook, one of the things that you get to know about Facebook is that there is what they call an edge rank. And an edge rank is basically the percentage of your followers and the people that you're friends with, the percentage of them that actually see your post. So just because you have, let's say, 500 friends on Facebook, does not mean that 500 people just saw your post. There's actually more. I think the natural percentage is around 10%. So when you first start out as a brand new coach and you're making a post on Facebook, and let's say you have 200 friends on Facebook, and you're like, how come only 5 people liked that post? It was a total flop. You get frustrated. And the reality is only about 10% of the people that you're friends with saw your post to even start with. And so you have to do certain things to increase your edge rank. And there are certain posts that you can make that will increase your edge rank. One of the things that I hope that I mentioned on the call last week, if I didn't, I'll mention it now, but is that as you show more interest in other people and you engage with other people by commenting and liking their post, the more that your post will show up in their newsfeed. And so that's definitely a key thing that you want to remember. Sending those messages that are just the friendly messages of asking people how they're doing and, wow, I haven't seen you in forever. What have you been up to? Those are all good, important things to do, that even if you don't have the guts to go out and actually invite that person into a fitness challenge group, now that person is at least going to start seeing your Facebook post. And so it is still a good idea. Now, these are some of the posts that you can make that will increase your edge rank, because the more that your posts have likes and comments, the more that Facebook assumes that more people want to see it. So some of the things that you can do is to ask true and false questions, yes and no questions. You can talk about some of the events coming up. Ask your fans, like, who's going to the concert this weekend, or who's going to go to the Easter egg hunt this weekend, or things like that. Fill in the blank questions are great. Ask people, fill in the blank. What's your favorite quote? What's your favorite book? What are you guys reading right now? Ask your fans for tips. This is a great thing that really builds up, I guess you could say, like, people love giving advice. And so if you're asking people for advice, things like that, that's a great thing that really gets a lot of comments. Asking people for their favorite joke, their, humor questions. I've seen people do really cute threads that are like, okay, post your favorite what did they do? Okay, they were like, type in your name and glamour photo and post the photo below, or something like that. So, you type in, I remember Jason actually pulling up some and showing them to me when he typed in like Jason glamour shot, and he's like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious, So little things like that are just engaging, light, humorous posts for people to engage in. Asking them for their opinion. And the funny thing is you see everybody doing this, but it works. And the reason why they do it is because it works and because it gets a lot of engagement in posts. Another thing that I probably should have put on here, but make sure that you respond to every single comment. Like, you will see certain coaches on our team are better at this than others. And so they'll make a post and they will ask people, or whatever, but they respond to like every single person in a comment. And the reason why, one, they're engaging and they're showing like, hey, I care about you and this and that, but they're also like, the more comments that are on that post, the more that post will show up. I don't mean to use this person in every single example, but if you guys pay attention to my page, you will notice that every time Keisha Fitzgerald gets a shout out, she has way more likes and way more comments on that post. And it's because she comments back to like every single person and says, oh my gosh, I love you. Thank you for the support. And she just like shows love back to people in every single comment. And she responds to like every single person who makes a comment. And she makes a comment too. And because of that, her post, because she's interacting on that post, it gets seen a ton. So her post will have like 200, 300 likes on a post and like 100 comments, but it doesn't matter, but it just keeps showing in people's news feeds and it helps her. It does. Whereas like I'll give a shout out for rank for someone else and they'll get like 100 likes because they get a bunch of comments of people saying congratulations, and the person that got the congratulations doesn't go back in and make a comment and say thank you. Like, take the time to say thank you to the people who make a comment on your post and engage with them in a comment. That is another great way that you're going to increase your edge rank, okay? Respond and interact with the people who are taking the time to interact with you. A few don'ts that go along with this. Do not go all deep on people. Don't ask them like really thought-provoking questions, because if someone has to sit there and think about it, they're not going to comment. If you ask them like, oh, so I can't think of an example right now, so I'm not even going to try, but really thought-provoking questions, don't do it. Don't get into political debates. Just don't. You can do that in family conversations one-on-one, but Facebook is just not the place for it. And don't start debates that you're going to get negative issues. So, there like, I remember there is like rating and things like that going on back east or whatever. The top coaches were not posting about it. Do you understand? That they were not like engaging in that and getting people to interact in a negative way. Like, you don't need that on your page. Even if you're not the person who's fighting with people, if you have people fighting beneath your post, delete it. Like, you don't need that on your page, okay? Also, do not ask judgmental or degrading questions. I actually see people do this a lot, and I kind of cringe. They'll be like, so tell me why do you think that you failed at all of your fitness programs? I want to know. Or they'll ask like, so tell me why, they're basically saying like, so tell me why you're fat. Like, and that's them asking a question and they think someone's going to make a comment beneath that. Like, I know it sounds kind of obvious, but I've seen posts like that, and don't do that. No one's going to comment. It doesn't help. So don't make posts like that. Another okay, this is a big thing because I go through and I do recognition for my team, and I see so many people with horrible profile photos. Because I'm like, I have to scroll through like 10 to 15 photos to figure out which one of you are. Because you've got a picture of you plus 3 other girls or even a mom with teenage girls. I'm like, I don't know which one is which. I don't know who I'm shouting out. Like, maybe it's the younger girl, and that's just a picture with her mom, or is it the mom who's on our team? Like, I don't know. And so be very aware that you are your brand. This is not your family's scrapbook. This is your business page. Like, even though it's your personal Facebook account, this is what you're using and choosing to use to build your business. And so be professional about it. Like, put some thought into it and recognize that a professional headshot goes a long way. I mean, I know I've seen coupons for Sears where you can go and get a professional headshot done for $20 and get a free sitting, and they'll take your photo. So, I mean, it's really not a big, hard thing. Or just go outside in good lighting and have your kid or your spouse or a friend take a photo of you outside in good lighting. But you need to have a picture of you. Don't use a picture of your kids. Don't use a picture of Shakeology or Beachbody or anything like that. That is a big no. And so pay attention to what profile photos that you use. Another thing that I want you guys to be aware of is that you can be real and you can be honest with people, but being a negative Nancy does not help you. It doesn't help you in this business to dwell on negative things. Like, I know that everyone has hard times and like nobody has this perfect life. Like, I get that. But when I see someone make a post that says, why is everybody, the world's against me? I just don't understand when people can't be honest. And they're like venting and they're making these vague posts about this like person that they want to address, but they don't really want to address. So they're just hoping the person sees it on Facebook. I'm sure you have all seen posts like that. I see posts like that all the time. And I'm thinking, how like passive aggressive can you get? All that's happening in that post is everybody else on your newsfeed is losing complete respect for you. That's just the flat out truth. Facebook is not the place where you get to vent. If you have a problem with somebody, go talk to them directly. Don't make a Facebook post about it. This is not the place that you're, complaining and just sharing all your problems. So just be aware about what you're posting. The other thing with this is that it also doesn't serve you to get on and share like, oh, I'm so tired and I have no energy. And then the very next day make a post about, oh, Shakeology, I love Shakeology. Shakeology gives me so much energy. You guys should buy it. Like, just kind of be aware that you're being authentic and things like that. Now, you can I'm not going to pretend that my life is perfect and pretend so on Facebook, and I don't expect you guys either. But you guys can share what you're learning, how you're overcoming your trials. So if you're sharing your trials and things that you're working through, just do so in a healthy way because, I love the National Wake Up Call, and Lindsay Matway did a really good job talking about that even this morning, and sharing how, if you talk about, what you're working through and kind of bring things to the light and say, this is what I'm dealing with and this is how I'm working through it. People are rooting for you. People are rooting for the underdog. They want to relate to you and know that, your life isn't perfect, but just do so in a healthy way. Do you guys understand? Is that making sense that you can do so? I'll be honest with you guys, even lately, I've been kind of experiencing, I call them triggers. It's kind of a term that I learned through my therapist when she says that there's triggers for depression and that can spur on a depression, and you have a choice. You can choose to dwell on that and choose depression, or you can choose to safeguard and move up. And lately, I will tell you, I've had a lot of triggers for depression, and this is not one of the times where I'm feeling like I'm really on top of my game. And I feel like I'm sharing that on Facebook, but sharing it in a way of showing people I'm working through this. I'm trying. I'm not giving up. I'm committed to moving forward, and I'm working through my trials. But guess what? My life isn't perfect, And I think that you guys can do so too. Alrighty. Another thing that I do want you guys to do is to personalize things and really put your own spin on everything that you do. So I do not want you guys to post these generic, really boring posts that are giving information. So here's an example of a way that I looked how I could add value in a personal way without being generic. So I posted a photo of me, right? And I posted this container of chia seeds, and literally all that I did was look up on Pinterest all of this information about chia seeds, and I put it together in a post, and I wrote down like, this is how I use chia seeds, and this is something I love about it. And I'm not like a nutritionist. Literally all the information was on like various blogs. I mean, I took like 10 minutes to research the benefits of chia seeds and typed it into Google, and I came up with this post, and it got shared like 30 shares. You can see it got shared a lot. Every time that post was shared, it introduced me to a whole new market of people, you know, because one person shares that, and let's say they have 300, 400 friends, then that's 300, 400 new people from one share who hopefully click back, and maybe they click through the last 3 or 4 posts that I've done. Hopefully they relate to me. They see that I'm somebody they like want to follow, that they want to follow, and that I'm adding value, things like that. And so they click to follow me, or maybe they send me a friend request. But it's because I've added value, and notice like I'm posting a photo of me so people relate to me. And you can even see that like my profile photo there was a picture of me. Like I am trying to present myself so that I'm branding myself. Now, I don't think the post would have been shared as much, or even if it had been shared, it would have been as effective if I had used, let's say, the photo over on the right-hand side, where I'm just saying chia seeds, health benefits and uses. You know, so little things like this, like I shared in the team the other day about the on-demand service, you know, and I'm showing people like, this was a really great post. It was great because it was personalized. Like the same post using a stock image from Beachbody is not as effective. Like, and I know if you're short on time, you kind of do what you can do. Just don't expect the same results. When you're sitting there being like, why am I not getting into Success Club? How come I'm not recruiting as much as this girl over here? Well, maybe that's why. You know, maybe putting in the little extra effort of, you know, personalizing your post, using photos of yourself and not stock images, like that can go a long way. Another thing that is really important in this business is to share your progress. I remember this was so hard for me at the beginning. I know I share a lot now, but you guys would laugh that I actually have always considered myself, I'm very private. I never posted on Facebook. In fact, the entire year before I was a Beachbody coach, I posted one time, and that's when my daughter was born. And so it was really, really hard for me to think about the idea of sharing a before and after photo on Facebook. Like that was just like gave me like chills, you know, to even think about. And so I didn't at the beginning. So like the first couple weeks, I remember when I was a Beachbody coach, I would post other people's photos, and I would post just that I was working out, or that I was excited for these changes and things like that. But I never would post my photos. And finally one day I'm like, okay, you know, my coach messaged me, and he's like, Brigitte, you've really got to share your progress if you want to see results. Like if you want to have people relate to you. And I'm like, but I don't look like a fitness model. Like I don't have a 6-pack. And he's like, it doesn't matter. Like people are going to relate to you. So I was brave, and I posted my very first before and after photo. And I remember the flood of messages that I got. Like I had, so many people messaged me, and they flat out told me that they were waiting to see my before and after photos before they joined my challenge group. That they were like, yeah, I was talking to my sister, we've been watching your page, And both of us really wanted to do your group, but we've been waiting for you to post your own photos. We wanted to see that it was working for you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have posted them sooner, you know? And so here's my thing. Be brave. Like, be brave, put it out there. In whatever way is comfortable for you. I'm not going to tell you that you have to show your stomach. You don't have to show a ton of skin. You don't have to do anything like that. I will tell you that Melanie Mitro has always shown her before and after photos, but her before and after photos, she just had a tight tank top on. It wasn't until she was in this Insanity Max 30 test group that I ever saw Melanie Metro's stomach. I had never seen it. And so anyways, I'm just saying that you can do it in a way that's comfortable for you, but that's still pushing yourself, and still giving yourself doing the uncomfortable thing. Because thank you, Natalie, what she wrote down here, that being courageous doesn't mean that you're not afraid, but you're doing it in spite of it, and you're being willing to be brave. I will tell you guys, every time that I am vulnerable on Facebook, and every time I am willing to put myself out there a little bit, I always get it returned tenfold. I always have people come back to me, and they feel like, okay, since you were honest, since you were vulnerable, I feel like I can trust you and I can be vulnerable with you. So share your progress, put it out there, and just remember one other thing. And this has been kind of my own little reminder that I've been giving myself lately, is that I have to take care of me. I am my own business card. And this business is interesting because as you get going and you have a big team, it can be really easy to let certain things slip. But you have to remember that one of the 3 vital behaviors is that you are proof the product works. I have leaders on this team, and whenever they're struggling, the number one thing that I know about them is I'm like, you're not working out. Because there is just something about working out and getting that energy flowing and the endorphins that come with that, and it helps your mind think clearly, and you have energy, and it's like you feel like you can conquer the world. I mean, man, anytime I'm doubting that, all I have to do is do a workout, or I just listen to Chalene Johnson talk about working out, on her podcast, and you're like, yes, there is a huge benefit to doing that. The most successful times in my business is when I'm really giving that extra effort on my progress, and that's when I see the most growth in my coaches too. Not when they sit there and say, well, I only have 3 hours today to work on my business. I have to spend all 3 hours on the computer. It's like, no, take an hour for yourself. Take care of you. You are your business card. And then you can spend the other 2 hours on the computer or whatever it is. One of my favorite quotes is from Abraham Lincoln. And he says, if you give him 5 hours to chop down a tree, he said he will spend 4 hours sharpening the axe. And I just think that there's great wisdom in that, that you are sharpening the axe, and you're going to be so much more effective if you guys always, always, always remember your business is to take care of you. And that means both physically and mentally. So the whole being proof the product works and personal development, there is great wisdom there. And if you don't believe me, just put it to the test. Put it to the test and prove me wrong if you want to. Do your workouts every single day. Read personal development every single day. And then come back and say, I'm still failing, because I don't see how that could be. Okay, a couple other things. I want you guys to make sure that you are being authentically you. Make sure that, we talked about this earlier last week, being authentic to you, but remember that means that you're a real person. You are not a Beachbody robot. You are not this person who is breathing, sleeping, drinking Beachbody all day long. All you think about is Beachbody. And if you act like you are that person, nobody's going to relate to you. No one's going to be like, oh yeah, you know what? I really connect with, Natalie here. Because Natalie talks about Beachbody all day long, and all day long I've been thinking about Beachbody, and so you know what, I can really connect with her. That doesn't happen, So we talked about earlier. I had a slide that had 5 things for you to think about, that you could share post ideas on and things like that. But just make sure that you're posting things that are unrelated to Beachbody, okay? But that might interest your target market. So for me, I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. I know my target audience is really just kind of the stay-at-home mom who has been tight on money, has maybe lost herself a little bit in motherhood. She budgets, she coupons, clips coupons, and she's trying to find little ways that she can take care of herself. So for me to make a post about that I found these shoes for $15 and being like, heck yeah, I'm going to get these shoes. That appeals to my target audience and to people that, that are following me so that they can relate to me. I love cute shoes. So you guys will always unless I'm not going to wear heels in Cancun, but I wear heels to Walmart. I love wearing heels. And so this is very just an authentic post for me. It would not be authentic for me to be posting about the 21 Day Fix all day long, or to be posting about PIO all day long. So just make sure that you are keeping it in perspective. I think a good rule of thumb is 80-20. So 20% of the time you can be posting about Beachbody/fitness. Okay, they kind of go hand in hand. The other 80% of the time, you need to be talking about something else. You need to be talking about your family. You need to be talking about this and that. But it goes the same way. You can't make it all about your family. You can't make it all about the travel trip that you went on or whatever. There needs to be a balance. Now, I just want to point out to you that consistency makes a huge difference in your Facebook post. And I loved this example that Katie Hefner shared once in a group. And she pointed out that when she first started in April, she posted this photo that of herself working out. So she's making a post about how she's being proof the product works, right? She had 2 likes and 0 comments. Now, picture 2 is a year and a half later, and she has 146 likes and 52 comments. But one of the big things that I want you guys to notice is that she was showing more of her personality in this second post, and she was sharing how she got this really cute workout pants, and she was so excited for the results that she was having. And in the first post, she just says, "Happy Saturday workout, everyone," and then that's it. And so it's not no one's really that doesn't relate to a lot of people, but her target audience is oh yeah, cute workout clothes, I'm all over that, So just to make sure that you are putting your personality into your post, but also be consistent. Because over time, those likes and those comments will grow. If you want to take a look down memory lane, you can go through someone like my page or Scotty's page or even Lindsay Matway's page. And you can go back through the posts from when they very first started and see that, everyone starts at 0. And there was a time when Lindsay Matway would make a post and she was lucky to have her grandma, her sister, and her husband click like on it. That happens to everyone. What I see happen in this business is a new coach gets started and they say, well, I made one post about it. I posted about my challenge group and nobody clicked like. So I don't have anyone for my group and I guess this isn't for me and I'm quitting. And I'm thinking, really? You're going to give up that quickly? You're just going to give up like that? I mean, if I could have just done that. I could have been oh, well, I guess no one's really interested in what I have to say. But you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent and realize that over time that will grow. That is so funny. Ashley made a little comment beneath that says, haha, my husband doesn't even like my post. I had a conversation with my husband about that just the other day, and I'm like, so what did you think of my post the other day? And he's like, I didn't read it. And I'm like, Jason, that's how we're paying our bills. I'm like, the least you could do is read my post. I told him, I'm like, come on, you can like my post. Make a comment every once in a while. But yeah, my husband doesn't at all. But so I think that's normal. He's always like, but they're so long. And I'm like, I know, but you should read them. I'm like, other people do. Anyways, but I love this quote. What we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. So just realize that you're going to get better and better and better at this by being more consistent and being better at it. Another thing that is really great, I think, is when you can become predictable in a way, but you're still, putting your flair on things. But like, everybody knows that you share your Tuesday transformation photo, or Wednesday is Wacky Wednesday, or that you're starting a challenge group every month. One thing that when I have coaches who are like, I just don't know what to say on Facebook, the exercise that I do with them when we get on the phone and a coach tells me that, so I'm like, okay, let's create a schedule for you. It's not something that I think works for everyone, but for my coaches who are like, I don't know what to say, that's what I have them do. And so we come up with a theme for every day. And so I'll be like, okay, every Monday, talk about your challenge group. This is where you share the results from your challenge group. Every Tuesday, I want you to share, that's the day you can talk about Shakeology. Wednesday is a day where you can highlight someone on your team or something like that and talk about coaching, why you love coaching. Thursdays, you can talk about transformation or throwback Thursday and share a little bit of your story. And Friday, like, share something about your family. So like, there at least you have like one post a day that's like connecting people to you, and that covers like your Beachbody posts, like of what you need to think about. And then you can kind of add in basically just what you're doing and things like that you're doing during the day. But at least you have like, oh, let's make sure that we get in, and I am talking about my challenge group, and I am talking about Shakeology and why I love it, and I am sharing a little bit of my own story on Thursdays and doing a throwback Thursday. So little things like that like will help you to become predictable and help you to be more consistent if you're struggling with finding things to talk about. Couple things also that I want to share, and that is that I want you guys with all of this, and when it comes to Facebook, I want you to think about a water pump. Now, I've shared this before on our team page, this analogy, but it's something that I think about all the time because it's not always easy, and I don't wake up every single day with guns blaring and thinking, oh my gosh, like, bring it on world. Like, I don't think that every day, but I'm like, I have to be consistent. And I think about the water pump and I'm like, it is much easier for me to make a couple pumps on that water pump today and do a little bit than it is for me to do nothing and then to have to start all over again. And so be consistent on pumping that water. The water pump analogy, if I haven't explained this to you guys before, but is that when you first start pumping a water pump, nothing comes out. There's nothing, there's no water. And you can start thinking like, this well is dry, there's nothing here. But it's hard to get the water flowing. But once you get the water up and it's flowing, then it's not as much work to just be consistent in pumping that. But you have to be consistent. And along those same means, and this may be pretty blunt, but I'm going to share with you something that I shared with one of my coaches the other day. So I had a coach reach out to me and she's like, okay, Brigitte, I'm ready to start building this business. I'm ready to give it a go. And she's like, I'm going to work at it. And here's the thing, is that this girl had told me the same story like 2 other times. And she had said, okay, I'm going to go all in. I'm going for this. And she would post and she'd be consistent. And then she would drop off. And I wouldn't hear from her for months. And I'd message her. She wouldn't respond. And she wouldn't post on Facebook. And she just kind of fell off the face of the earth, right? And she did that 2 times. So now she was coming back to me a 3rd time. And this is where I was very blunt with her. And I was very honest. And I said, this is your last chance. And I said, you want to know why? I said, it's not because of me, because I will forgive you endless times. Like not necessarily that I even need to forgive you, but I believe in you. But here's the thing, is that your audience, the people that you are posting to on Facebook, they're only going to give you so many shots. And if they see you drop off and they see you post about it and you're excited and then you drop off and then you do it again and again and again, you have lost all credibility with your audience. They don't believe you. And every single time you stop and you start up again, it's harder. Because now you have to prove to even longer to all the people who lost trust in you. Because what you did is you broke their trust. Because you told them, hey, I'm doing this. I'm going for it. I'm going to start a challenge group every single month. And I'm going to be here to hold you consistent. And then you proved that you couldn't be consistent yourself. And so I told her, I'm like, when it comes down to it, you probably have one more chance with your audience. And if you're not consistent, then you need to just quit. I told her that. I said, it won't do you any good. So this is your last chance. Give it all you've got. And if you back off of this, know that you just need to quit because it's not worth your time anymore to keep on doing this to your audience. And I think she took a little more seriously, and she's been doing awesome. And she's been consistent much longer than she has been any other time. But I just think that that's something for you guys to keep in mind too, that you can't play this back and forth game with your Facebook audience. Take it seriously that these people are looking up to you. And so you started out on this journey and they're watching you. And you have to be consistent. You have to show up every single day. So a few things as you are being consistent and showing up every single day, make sure that you are sharing your story and how Beachbody is helping you. Try to keep it short. I loved what Lindsay Matway said today on the National Wake Up Call. Like when you are sharing your story and you're talking about something, you don't have to put it all out there in one post. You can split it up. I like to think of it as an onion, and there's different layers of an onion. And you can peel off one layer at a time and then another layer at a time. But don't tell somebody your entire life story in one post. And I will be the first to admit, I really struggle with keeping it short. And I try really hard. But to my credit, I will say that I do reread every single one of my posts multiple times and find any little tiny way that I can delete something from it. So my posts are always probably twice as long as they end up being when they actually get posted on Facebook, because I do cut and cut and cut until in my mind, I'm like, I can't cut back anymore. So try to always reread your posts and find out what am I saying twice that I can just maybe reword one sentence so it encompasses what I am trying to say. Do try to be eye-catching, like stop the scroll. You want people are scrolling through their Facebook. Most of them are going to be on their mobile device and on their phone. And so you want your post to be eye-catching. Now, it doesn't mean you need to spend an hour making a post, but use good lighting. Like look and see what different angles you can use to make the photo like appealing to the eye. Pick your 5 categories. So this is kind of your summary. Make sure that you are not just talking about fitness. You have a wide variety of things that you are talking about. Ask things of your audience. Engage them. Make sure you're posting only about 20% of the time about fitness. Make sure you're posting more frequently. Try to get up to 3 to 5 posts a day. Make sure that you're always looking back at the last 5 posts that you have on your page and ask yourself, if somebody were to find my page today and look at my last 5 posts, would they follow me? Or would they know what I'm all about? Would they see my story? Would they relate to me? And then the other thing to keep in mind is that a mediocre post is better than nothing at all, okay? It's much better for you to be honest, like if you're struggling, you're having like crazy day, your kids are driving you crazy, they're all over the place. It is okay for you to get on Pinterest and grab a quote that you like and share it. Or throw a one-liner up there of your quote that you read in a personal development book. Or post, like one thing I've seen coaches do is they'll post an old family photo and be like, I really love my family. Or I'm so grateful for my husband. And they'll post an old photo or something like that. Like, it is better for you to get something up there than for you to have no post at all, okay? The other thing is to be willing to change and to adapt. I've had my like page mastered and figured out, and things have changed, and I've had to go back to my personal page, and I've had to adapt, and there are always things that are going to change. And so having that good attitude and just playing around with things to find out what your audience relates to and responds to the best. Now, I just want to take a quick second to talk about how to avoid being banned on Facebook. So there are a few various companies that have kind of popped up, and unfortunately they don't always build in the most non-spammy way on Facebook. And so Facebook is kind of cracking down on things because people have reported in like, this is annoying, this like thing is annoying on Facebook. So here's the thing. It seems that there is a pattern that if you are doing a lot of posts that are saying, buy here, do this, sell, and you're posting links to your website, your Facebook page has a higher chance of being flagged, okay? If you're flagged by Facebook, Facebook could pause your account and make it so that you can't post in your groups, or they could ban and delete your account altogether. Okay, you don't want that to happen. So this is why, like, I'm really teaching you guys, this is how you post on Facebook so that you're not being salesy. You don't post your link. You like are sharing your life, and then in private messages, you engage with people and share your link in that way. The other really big thing that you need to do on Facebook is you have got to be mindful of how many groups you are a host of and how many groups you are in. So this means go back through and delete your old challenge groups. And to delete that group, what you need to do is to remove everybody one by one. So go to the About section or the Member section of the group page and click on each person to remove that person from the group. When everybody else has been removed from the group, you can click to remove yourself as the last person in your group. When you go to remove yourself, it will say, do you want to delete this group? And you will say yes. So just make sure that you're doing that to all of your old groups. This is why I delete my training groups every month when I create a new one. This is why I delete all of my old challenge groups. And that I don't just create a bunch of random groups that don't have a purpose, So just be mindful of that. And I always go through and click and make sure that I'm not a part of any groups that I don't want to be a part of, and remove myself from the group so that my account doesn't get flagged at all. So just a couple final things that I wanted to go over with you guys. And let me pull this up really fast. But just to kind of end this up, I want you guys to stop thinking about I need to do more. I need to work more and more and more and more. And instead, I want you to focus on working smarter, because more of the same usually results in more of the same. And when what we want actually is something better than what we have, that means that you need to focus on working smarter. So to focus on what works and how to work smarter, you've got to ask yourself 3 questions. What am I required to do? What gives me the greatest return? and what gives me the greatest reward? So again, those 3 questions are: what am I required to do? What gives me the greatest return? And what gives me the greatest reward? Now, what I've tried to do in this webinar is point out to you what kind of Facebook posts are going to give you the greatest return and the greatest reward. Those are the things that are fulfilling for you. And only you can really know what that is. And it's different for everyone. And what are you required to do? I will tell you that doing invites, making posts, checking in your challenge groups, engaging with people, those are things that you are required to do to grow your business. You have to send the invites and things like that. But what you can delegate, like, and find out, like, this may not, may be something that I can't delegate, but if I delegate it, then I lose like the passion, or whatever. But just start thinking of what, fulfills those 3 things. Okay. I also want you to stop thinking, can I? And I want you to start thinking, how can I? Because can I is filled with hesitation and doubt. It imposes limitations. The most common reason that people don't overcome hard times and the odds is because they don't challenge themselves enough. Like, I want you guys to ask yourself, like, how can I make this happen? Like, how can I? Because when you ask yourself that question, you're assuming that there is a way and you just need to find it. And when you ask yourself that question, you will find a solution. You will find a way that you can make that happen. Because what would you attempt if you could not fail? Like, you would be thinking outside the box. You would push past the boundaries. You would test your own limits. And because really most of your limitations are not based on a lack of ability, but like a lack of belief. And so you need to believe that you can, and you need to persevere. And I love the value of that when I was training for a half marathon. Like, I remember training for that, and like, I really had to change my mindset from there is no way I can possibly doing this to being like, how can I make it happen? And I knew that how I was going to make that happen was just to keep moving forward, persevere, and I would be able to do it. And I would be able to do anything if I would just persevere long enough. And that mentality is what I adopted when I started this business. And that's why we're called Team Forward Fitness, is because I knew if I would keep moving forward and persevere, anything was possible. But the thing is, you don't have to have that perfect plan. You just need to start. I love this quote. This author says, you can't bake cake without getting the kitchen messy. Halfway through surgery, it looks like there's been a murder in the operating room. If you send a rocket to the moon, about 90% of the time it's off course. It fails its way to the moon by continually making mistakes and correcting them. And that's what it's going to look for you guys. As you're doing this, you just have to keep on going and just know that you just have to start. You just have to do it, and you're going to make mistakes. It's not going to be perfect, but you just keep moving forward. And then the last thing I want you guys to focus on is to realize that stop thinking one door and start thinking many doors. Because it's much better to consider that there's many possibilities and many answers to your questions. There are always options. And so there's more than one way to do this business and be successful. You can be creative, you can adapt, and find out what works for you, okay? So that's all I have for you guys today. I appreciate you all getting on this call. Hopefully it has been beneficial and helpful for you guys. And if you guys have any questions, we'll post it in the team page and I can respond to you there. Thanks for getting on though.